Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and they got go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
Many of you are very talented, but if you really want to wow me today, you're going to have to show something extra. Little thing I'm calling heart.
I think his mom drank when she was pregnant or something.
Attaboy, JD. Hustle, hustle.
I believe in you, JD. Don't listen to those motherfuckers.
I know your heart's on the football field, but I need your head in history class, Mr. Vance.
Yes, Vance, yes.
That stupid freak. I'll never make the team. He's a loser.
Fuck you, Gavin. You and your dad are both gay.
Damn it, Vance, I wish I had 100 of you. If only you could get those godforsaken test scores up.
If you ask a hot chick to prom, I'll give you a C because history smiles upon the bold.
Asking me for my permission to ask my daughter to prom is a really classy move.
Vance past history. Now let's go beat the shit out of the Soros High Goblins.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome into CobraCast 199. I'm your host, Jeremy Prime, Mage, IDOT of Unit 199. Happy to see all of you here on a Wednesday. It is World Cup Wednesday. I'm watching the game right now between Argentina and England. It just started. I'm going to be a little distracted because I am somewhat interested. You know, I started watching because the USA, and then the USA had that horrifically terrible game. And I'm like, this is what I started watching this shit for. But because I watched that, I found it to be pretty interesting. So now I'm kind of invested. And then I watched the Norway game because America fell in love with Norway. And of course, Norway lost. And now we've got Argentina and England. And who am I pulling for? Listen, I'm very much a newbie when it comes to this stuff, so don't think that I know what I'm talking about. But I will say that Ronaldo fans are some of the most annoying fucking people on the planet. So I'm pulling for Argentina and Messi. So take of that what you will, but Ronaldo fans are kind of like LeBron fans. They are the most annoying fucking people on the planet. So go Argentina. There you have it, okay? So we'll just leave it at that. All right, so hello, everyone. We got a lot to talk about. JD Advanced showed up on the Joe Rogan Experience. We're going to watch some of those clips. And yeah, that should be good. We've got a lot of politics to go over as well. So camera's on the whole time, hey? Camera's on the whole time. But yeah, so, and then Glenn Beck had a really, really interesting video talking about what Trump is doing with Marco Rubio. And I'm really, really interested to play that and give you guys my take on it, because it is a serious discussion to have as to what is going to happen in 2028 outside of the meme that Trump is going to run, which I mean, while it is a meme and I don't think that it's realistic, I'm also not going to say that there's a 0% chance. because it's Donald Trump. So, it's what the case that Glenn Beck is making for Trump getting Marco Rubio prepared to run a third Trump term in 2028 is very, very interesting. And it's something that obviously Trump has to start thinking about, because there's no way, like, if Trump does all the stuff that he's doing when he's in office and then the Democrats get back in power, then it's all for nothing. And I'm sure he's aware of that. So, we shall see. Flag Ninja says pre-Marmillin pre-stream chat grift tax. Now that's good. That is good. Mike Hill says Danny McBride is now a writer and director of the new G.I. Joe movie. I don't know what to think of this. I mean, listen, I like him. I don't know a lot about him, but yeah, I'm going to pull up the clip from Danny McBride about G.I. Joe, because he was asked, or he talked about this in an interview a few weeks ago, and now it has been confirmed that he is officially directing a new G.I. Joe movie. He also wrote the script. Film is targeting it for 2027. Grounded action film, not a comedy. And I mean, I think this is about as good of news as we could have expected. Personally, I'm not really, like, just the idea of a new G.I. Joe movie scares me big time. But I guess if this is about the best case scenario, I would like to find the interview where he was asked about it, because there was a clip. And I don't know, man. Let's see here. I pull this up. There was a podcast he was on. I wasn't prepared to answer this, but is this it right here? Here we go.
G.I. Joe movie? You're writing a G.I. Joe movie?
I've written one. Yes. I'm stoked about it. I'm really fired up about the script. Paramount seems fired up about it. So hopefully we're shooting it next year.
So I know you don't need to spoil anything, but just like your history with G.I. Joe, was it the cartoon, the action figures? Like, what did you want to honor in this script?
It was definitely the cartoons and the comics, and like G.I. Joe was my thing when I was a kid. I liked that more than Star Wars, more than anything. Like, I loved G.I. Joe. And I still have all the characters. And I tried to give my G.I. Joe collection to my son, and he wasn't interested. Who's interested? My daughter, who likes robots. That's who plays with Gung Ho and Snake Eyes in the shower. But I've always loved it. And so I had an idea for a Dreadnoughts movie. And I was like, I just wanted to do a Dreadnoughts movie. And I went to Paramount and pitched it. And they were like, well, the franchise kind of needs to be like, it needs to be launched. So we can't come out with a Dreadnoughts movie. Would you have a take on would you have an angle for G.I. Joe proper? And I was like, hell yeah, I'll have an angle for that. So Jeff Fradley and John Kachuri, who I wrote a lot of Gemstones with, we sat down and we cracked something that we really love a lot. And it's, weirdly, it grounds G.I. Joe. It's not a comedy. It's like kind of suspense and action, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
The whole ensemble, like who's the star? Who's the character that's the anchor?
You're following Duke and a group of other Joes. And I don't know how familiar you are with the comics. Are you?
I watch the cartoon religiously, but it's been a minute.
Yeah, and there's that town in the comics, Springfield, which is a town that's secretly all Cobra. Okay. And so that is where our film takes place. Yeah.
So this has some momentum. It sounds like Paramount likes the script.
Hopefully and we have some pretty interesting people lining up to be in it too. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but
So, I mean, look, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Danny McBride is directing, and he wrote the new G.I. Joe movie. I see Drunk 3PO says, I hope it's good. You and me both, brother. I have my doubts because of it's just I'm going to have my doubts because the two live action G.I. Joe movies that we've gotten to date are bad. Even though they have really good elements within them, they are not good movies. And the key is Snake Eyes and how they handle Snake Eyes. And so Everything else, really, it doesn't matter if you screw up Snake Eyes. And they, for all of the faults of the 2 live action G.I. Joe movies, they crushed it with Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Ray Park was an incredible Snake Eyes. The Snake Eyes Storm Shadow dynamic was perfect. The backstory was perfect. Everything about that was awesome. And, but the rest of the movie did suck. So Duke, Snake Eyes, and Cobra Commander. Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's the thing about G.I. Joe, man. G.I. Joe, like Cobra Commander, I hated what they did with Cobra Commander in the first G.I. Joe movie. I actually liked what they did with Cobra Commander in the second G.I. Joe movie. Duke was the worst casting ever. I mean, Channing Tatum as Duke was just an embarrassment beyond belief. But I guess we'll see. But anyway, there's that. Thank you for the super chat on that. I appreciate it. Lag over on Rumble says post Marmillan pre-stream. Hang on. Post Marmillan pre-post stream chronological confusion grift tax. Holy fuck. You guys, like, what the hell are we doing around here? What are we doing around here? Marmillan's dominating and he's not even here. Dermy Wormy says Snake Eyes is brilliant in his standalone movie.
Oh no. Oh no. You're retarded. Oh.
You are retarded. You are retarded. And no one's going to deny that now. Philip Butler says, I still say you should watch Combat, the original G.I. Joe television series. Promise you will like it. Noted. All right. Thank you, Philip. I appreciate it. And trying to think, do we want to go to the JD Vance stuff? I think we're going to go to the JD Vance stuff right now. JD Vance appeared on Joe Rogan today. I saw the videos all over the place on Twitter, and we're not going to watch the whole, it's almost a 3-hour episode, but I am looking forward to watching a lot of what he's had to say. But like, for instance, right here, JD on Joe Rogan on Iran. What the president has done, well, let's just go ahead and me still reading it. Just
what the president has done, I think very, very capably is said, we're going to use military force in this situation when it's connected to something we're trying to achieve. So if you shoot it,
I will repeat one more time. JD does a better job of articulating Donald Trump's points than Donald Trump does to people that don't like Donald Trump. I've said that consistently. Now, again, I have to qualify what I'm saying. No one is better at being Trump than Trump, period. But JD, when you're talking to people that don't really like Trump, he articulates Trump's positions perfectly. Back it up.
What the president has done, I think very, very capably is said, we're going to use military force in this situation when it's connected to something we're trying to achieve. So if you shoot at ships, we're going to shoot at the facilities at which you used to shoot at the ships. But we're not just going to do something open-ended indefinitely. We're not just going to bomb and bomb and bomb. We're going to try to use our military force as one of the many tools that we have to solve the problem. And obviously, like, I'm biased, but I think that's exactly the right approach. What the president...
And Josiah says, no one is better at being Jeremy than Jeremy. Well, if that was the case, I'd have more super chats rolling in, Josiah, but it's running, we're running pretty much on empty today. So clearly I'm not good at being Jeremy. So thanks for pointing that out, Josiah. I really fucking appreciate it. I'll go fuck myself now, okay? But here we have JD Vance admitting that the White House absolutely screwed up the comms on the Epstein files.
Again, like, say this with all candor, like, we absolutely screwed up the comms of the Epstein files. Like, we just did. But
this is something Trump would never say, by the way. Trump would never in a million years say the words that JD Vance just said. Not even close.
Again, like, say this with all candor, like, we absolutely screwed up the comms of the Epstein files. Like, we just did. But do I think
Hey, Josiah! Look at that. I grifted Josiah. You know what? When a grifter can grift another grifter, you know it's a good day. Okay. Because while I'm good at grifting the supers, I cannot compete with Josiah level clickbait. Can't do it, man. He's on a whole nother level. He's on a whole nother level, but I can grift the supers. I can't pull the clickbait like Josiah. He's fucking phenomenal at it.
Reason we screwed up the comms is because we were trying to hide something? No. I think the reason we screwed up the comms of the Epstein files is one, Pam Bondi said the client list is on my desk, right?
Well, they had binders. They were standing in front.
But those binders were largely documents that had already been released, right? So let me try to.
Well, what was
I'm very interested if this clip goes a little bit longer, because I think Joe Rogan definitely needs to pounce right now. Because this is only a 1:20 clip, but this is something that you're never going to get this clarity from Trump, because Trump will just dance around it because he doesn't admit fault. Very interested how JD's going to handle this.
Client list is on my desk, right?
Well, they had binders. They were standing in front.
But those binders were largely documents that had already been released, right? So let me try to.
Well, what was
the
purpose of that performative display of the Epstein files? And she was saying there's tens of thousands of hours of film.
I don't know what the purpose of it was, but I know that the effect of it was to make people mistrust the entire effort. And what I think was happening, look, I know Pam, I like Pam. I don't think there was anything malicious going on. I think Pam was trying to respond to the political moment. I think she overstated what we had and what we didn't have. And I think that she, got roasted for it publicly by a lot of people, including me. Like, you and I have talked about this a lot. I'm like one of the OG Epstein conspiracy theorists. I've probably gone down every single rabbit hole. We could go down most of them today. Look, the original sin.
Okay, I need to see the rest of this conversation. Can somebody tell me the timestamp where this is discussed on Joe Rogan's podcast? I'm going to it right now if somebody has a timestamp. I need to know if this continued, because that is a really, really good conversation. So it's a 3-hour podcast. Does anybody know when the timestamp for that was? Is it on this video maybe? Oh, give me a timestamp. There's a full clip of this part. Can somebody tag me in that? 15-minute clip on YouTube. Okay. Just watch the whole thing. 1:16:57. Thank you, Inverse Flash, if that's correct. 1:16:57. What an MVP if you're right. Fuck you. That's not the right one. I completely lied just now. Fucker. I respect it. I went to it too. You know what?
What?
Oh, man. I hate you all. Now I can't believe anything. Everybody's just typing random fucking shit. I'm actually checking a lot of your times, but I'm not telling you who's trolling me and who's not, because I feel stupid. Okay, I got it. Whoever said
take orders from you.
Whoever said 135, thank you. Okay. But I wasn't going to say 135 until I confirmed it.
No, that's just not how Donald Trump operates.
Bastards. Can you understand, though, why people would come to that conclusion, especially because of the Epstein files?
What do you mean?
Well, the Epstein files were supposed to be released. And there was a tremendous amount of resistance to those files being released. And that concerned a lot of people. Because if you're talking about very wealthy, powerful people that were engaged in crimes.
I see. So you're basically saying, like, the fear is that whatever's in the Epstein files was used to blackmail, like, the administration into doing the Iran thing.
or at the very least, the people that were involved in the Epstein files that didn't want them coming out had undue influence?
Well, again, like, say this with all candor, like, we absolutely screwed up the comms of the Epstein files, like we just did. But do I think the reason we screwed up the comms is because we were trying to hide something? No. I think the reason we screwed up the comms of the Epstein files is one, you know, Pam Bondi said the client list is on my desk, right?
Well, they had binders. They were
100%
standing in
right
front.
But this is a very slippery slope for JD right now. Because I'm not even an Epstein bro. I'm not one of these people. And listen, the Epstein stuff was mega popular online. And this is what I've been pushing this point for a long time, that people are in a fucking bubble online sometimes. And they think that just because it's popular online, just because they think they gets a lot of retweets and a lot of views on YouTube, that it suddenly matters to the real world. And it doesn't. Most people don't give a fuck about the Epstein stuff in the real world. Okay, but it is an issue, and it's a valid issue. It's just not the insanity that these lunatics run with every day about it being this, you know, oh, Israel's controlling everything, and you're like, you know, and again, I don't work for Israel. Well, okay, actually, I do. I got my $7,000. So, but let me check my bank account one more time. No, I did not. I actually got my payment from Christopher Nolan's studio. Make sure you see The Odyssey in theaters starting tomorrow. Israel did not pay this week. Anyway, but JD answering this question, he's kind of in the matrix dodging bullets right now, okay? So just keep that in mind.
The binders were largely documents that had already been released, right? So here's, let me try to
Well, what was the
defend.
purpose of that performative display of the Epstein files? And she was saying there's tens of thousands of hours of film.
I don't know what the purpose of it was, but I know that the effect of it was to make people mistrust the entire effort. And I think what I think was happening, look,
this is the nicest way of saying that Pam Bondi is a fucking dumb bitch who should have never been in the positions she was in. This is the nicest way right here.
I know Pam. I like Pam. I don't think there's anything malicious going on. I think Pam was trying to respond to the political moment. I think she overstated what we had and what we didn't have. And I think that she, you know, got roasted for it publicly by a lot of people, including me. Like, you know, you and I have talked about this a lot. I'm like one of the OG Epstein conspiracy theorists. I've probably gone down every single rabbit hole we could go down, most of them today. Look, the original sin of the Epstein investigation, and obviously I'm biased here, but it was not what Donald Trump and the administration did in 2025. It was, you have to go back to 2007, 2008. The original Alex Acosta investigation of Jeffrey Epstein, where he basically dropped the federal charges. I think Epstein ended up getting prosecuted on some sort of local thing. But the original warrant, the original warrant back in 2008, what was he looking for? What was he allowed to look for? What were they collecting? It was not looking at a broader conspiracy. So that happens. Okay. Epstein gets pinched. I think he goes to prison, or maybe this is when he was on house arrest.
Mm-hmm.
But like anything that existed from the 80s and 90s up to 2006, 2007, anything that existed that we didn't get back then was disappeared. Right. So like when people say, has what you've seen on the inside make you think that that Epstein never blackmailed people, or that Epstein never engaged in broader sex trafficking? No, absolutely not. What I have seen, and I've looked at most of the files, is that there just wasn't dispositive evidence. And if that dispositive evidence ever existed, it was probably destroyed after 2006, 2007. Now, like, again, in our defense, yes, was there some bitching and moaning, and was there some back and
I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a perfectly logical answer, and the people that want answers aren't going to believe anything he's saying. They're going to say that he is still trying to cover up because this is how retarded they are.
Fourth, yes, but we eventually collected 6 million documents as part of the effort. The president, people say the president was forced into releasing the documents. Like, again, the idea that Donald Trump could not have killed that legislation, especially with the United States Senate, is a joke. He absolutely could have killed it. What did he do? He actually said, nope, we're going to release these files. He thought, he was annoyed by the story. He was annoyed by the Democrats accusing him of doing things bad. By the way, like, do I think there is I've never seen a single piece of credible evidence that the president of the United States engaged in wrongdoing with minors, ever. So like when the president says the hoax, that's what he's talking about, is this democratic idea that he somehow was a pedophile. It's absurd. There's no evidence for it. Now, the Epstein law gets signed. We find 6 million documents. We find out 3 million of them are actually responsive, has something to do with the Epstein estate. We release all of them, with the exception of a few things that are like, the courts have said that we have to redact certain things or we can't release certain files. But like, we did release all these files. Did it take longer than it should have taken? Yes. But we did release these files. And again, the problem here is not like anything that's in the files or not in the files. The problem is, if you go back to the original investigation, it was designed in a way that was way too narrow. If there was a broader conspiracy, and my view is that there probably was, the evidence that existed in 2007, that was the opportunity to get
So
it.
when you say there probably was a broader...
Well, I mean, the thing that gets missed in this whole thing that I often bring up, Epstein was arrested and so was his accomplice. Nobody acknowledges this fact that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested, and so was whatever her name is, Maxwell, by the Trump administration. But people keep saying no one was held accountable for Epstein. And I'm like, except for Epstein. I think that's an important thing to note, that the guy that is at the center of it was arrested. Now, the idea that Jeffrey Epstein kept a list under his pillow of everybody involved, their name, phone number, and the date that they were, abusing these underage people, is fucking ridiculous. Like, what are we talking about? Like, yeah, Epstein had a list under his pillow. He kept a list of everybody powerful. What? The fuck are you talking about? So it makes perfect sense that there's no real evidence to trace people back. You can have your assumptions, you can have your speculations, but no real evidence can point to that.
Or conspiracy. What exactly are you saying?
I think there are a few different options. I mean, look, man, I like you and I could literally do 2 episodes about this. I've gone on down to every rabbit hole. There's this funny New York Times story that's somewhat true, somewhat false, but where Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff, says, well, we know JD's a conspiracy theorist on this. Like, I am, actually. I've gone down every rabbit hole here. Look, so there's the theory that whether it was American intel or foreign intel, that Epstein was sort of using sort of the sex ring to blackmail rich and powerful people. There's that piece of it. I think there's a separate conspiracy that hasn't gotten covered as much, which is that Epstein actually,
Randy Parker says, I never get to watch live, but I always download the stream and listen at work. I was wondering what you think about Xbox giving Fallout to Obsidian. I've never been a Fallout person personally, so I'm not too caught up on that story. But yeah, I haven't followed that one that much. I'm glad that you are here live finally for the first time. I did pause the video because Ogdog told me to stop posting. But yeah, I don't really have a ton of thoughts on that because I've never really been a Fallout person personally. So Xbox has got to get their shit together or they're not going to be around much longer. And they have got to start getting their first party stuff in order. And I think that that's the thing that they and PlayStation are going to have to start to focus on, is getting their first party titles in order, or they're just going to become more and more irrelevant as PC gaming becomes more relevant, but thank you for the super chat. I'm glad you got to catch it live. Little Jim Taylor says a pre next day and next month Marmillion tax. Marmillion, you're not even here and you are being talked about nonstop in every super chat on YouTube and Rumble, and you're not even here. John Jones says Jeremy Jones gave the Odyssey an awesome tacular. Speed Force says Alan gave the Odyssey a 4 out of 10 and Chris Gore gave it a 5 out of 10. Yeah, as far as the Odyssey goes, I tried to tell everybody. Nobody wants to listen. So you picked the wrong person to fight with. Christopher Nolan. Yeah. Odyssey's going to flop and nobody's going to like it. Okay. I try to tell everybody. Nobody wants to listen. Do you know what? For me, talking about the Odyssey to a bunch of fucking people in a bubble, do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of this moment right here. Whenever I would mention that, hey guys, the Odyssey is probably going to be good and it's probably going to be successful. This is what it's been like. Been very reminiscent of this moment. I got to find it really quickly. This right here. This is what it's been like talking about the Odyssey on these streams.
Okay, here we are. And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones right now, Donald Trump. I especially like.
What about of all of them? I mean, is Scott Walker?
Laughter from the audience.
100% every fucking time I've mentioned it, and I think that it's going to end up being one of the most embarrassing things since I've been covering culture war shit, that people pounced on a Nolan movie pretending it was going to be a flop and a disaster. Oh, the dislikes, guys. Yeah, next time we talk about dislikes, how's that going to work? It's just been absolutely insane, the bubble that everybody's been in. But yeah, you should watch Jeremy John's review. It's a pretty good review. It's a pretty good review. But, I'm sure he's paid off too. I'm sure he's a shill. Everybody's a paid off shill now. Everybody. So it's just fucking retarded. So yeah, good old bubble we're living in here. And everybody pretends that that this movie was going to be a disaster. Embarrassing. But I'll see it tomorrow and I'll let you know.
If you go back to the original Epstein guy was Les Wexner, okay, who Columbus, Ohio, was the wealthiest person in Ohio, maybe still is the wealthiest person in the state of Ohio. The thing that everybody in Columbus, I lived there for a time, knew about the Wexner-Epstein relationship is that Epstein was his tax guy. That Epstein was like the genius at identifying weird tax strategies that would allow you to not have to pay taxes. But if you were being a little skeptical, would also say that it would allow Epstein to either blackmail people or to have a separate nexus of influence and control on rich and powerful people. And so I think there's an underreported, underexplored story of was Epstein like doing a lot of tax stuff that was not on the up and up? And is that one way in which he gained blackmail? It's not opposite of the sexual blackmail story, but in some ways it's you could imagine both things being true. I also just think there's an element of he was a scumbag. He was a very sick person. He built relationships with a lot of other rich and powerful people who just didn't have any real moral judgment about the fact the guy was obviously a scumbag. And again, to go back to defending Donald Trump, I know people don't want to hear this these days, but like, who was the guy? People say Donald Trump's blackmailed by Jeffrey Epstein. Who was the guy who narked on Epstein to the Palm Beach police?
This has been my fucking point the whole time. Again, man, it's not about Epstein. It's not about Charlie Kirk's assassination. It's not about Israel. It's not about the fucking Switch 2. It's not about the Odyssey. It's about people are fucking retarded these days because they are listening to people that do not give them any fucking perspective. People simply seek out someone to repeat their bullshit to them. And if you challenge that bubble in any way, they fucking lose their minds. That is the state of the fucking internet right now. And people are scared to death for people to get upset with them by giving them a different opinion. They're scared to death. So many people are just terrified. They are audience captured and they are scared to fucking death to say anything the audience doesn't want them to say. And so we are now at a time where every single creator just marches to the beat of their own fucking audience and they won't say shit that the audience doesn't want to fucking hear. It's fucking wild. And it's how you get this Candace Owens bullshit. Candace Owens is lying to her audience every fucking day. She's just lying to her fucking audience. And they eat it up. Because if Candace actually says, hey guys, Tyler Robinson probably did kill Charlie Kirk, maybe 75% of her fucking crazy audience abandons her in that moment. She's not allowed to fucking say that. She's scared to death to fucking say it. The truth is the truth, regardless if you want to fucking hear it or not. Donald Trump arrested Jeffrey Epstein. If Donald Trump is covering up for Jeffrey Epstein, why did he have him arrested? Make it make fucking sense. It's fucking crazy, dude.
Police. That's in the Epstein files.
Right.
It was Donald Trump.
He also kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago.
He kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. It's just, again,
it's obvious that Epstein was a sick man.
Yes, but if people want to say we mishandled the Epstein release, guilty. We did mishandle, especially the communications of it.
What do you think should have been done?
I think that we should have just dropped everything at the very beginning. And obviously it takes a little time to review the stuff, to find the stuff, to redact things where you have victims.
I think that Trump's approach to this whole thing, Trump, he ebbs and flows with how things go. He saw that the Epstein stuff was being weaponized against him. So he kind of shifted the way he wanted to approach it. Because he knew that it was nonsense, the shit that people were saying. But he also, this is why he said it's a hoax. And when he said it was a hoax, what did people do? They are completely dishonest about, they know what he meant by that, but they intentionally tried to spin what Trump said to mean something that it didn't mean. They knew exactly what Trump meant when he said it was a fucking hoax. Democrat hoax is what he fucking said. And nobody wants to actually listen to shit anymore. They just want to take the fucking headline and spin the fucking words into what they want and pretend that it doesn't mean exactly what it means. It means what they want it to fucking mean.
And so forth, but we should have just done it as quickly as possible.
But some of the stuff that was redacted, some of the names that were redacted weren't victims.
So yeah, I've looked into this, and my understanding of this, having looked at a lot of this, but not all of it, is that it is sometimes hard to draw a distinction between victim and co-conspirator. And let me highlight this in a very sort of obvious way. Ro Khanna, who's been one of the loudest voices on the Epstein file. Well, he became very loud on the Epstein files the minute Donald Trump became president, didn't seem to care about it during the Biden administration. He actually brought one of the Epstein victims, I think, to the State of the Union last year, or maybe it was the year before last. Well, that victim, and I'm not saying she wasn't a victim. I don't know anything about her particular case.
I'm going to go to his live here in just a minute.
I want to finish this. In some of these documents. Right. So there's an idea that some of the people who were engaged in the sex trafficking were also, facilitating it as well.
So they were incentivized to get more girls.
Yeah, but yes, that's right. But the idea is that it's hard to it's sometimes a little bit of a gray area between, some of the people who were alleged victims were also alleged co-conspirators. And so what DOJ tried to do was kind of make that judgment as best they could and release as much as possible.
But it's clear that he was trying to get in contact with people that he felt were influential It was clear that he was trying to get people to get together on the island and meet at parties. So there was something he was doing where he was trying to either influence people or compromise people.
Correct.
So it's not, there's some sort of an operation that was going on.
There is a story there. And, you know, I will go to my deathbed believing there's a story there, but I can't prove it. And I promise you there's not some document that at least I'm hiding that allows us to prove exactly what was going on and how.
He was also trying to get scientists, and this is one of the reasons supposedly
100%.
why he got that ranch in New Mexico.
So a friend of mine has this element. Okay, sorry, I should step back. Conspiracy theories. One of the ways you discredit a conspiracy theory, I thought about this a lot, is try to hide it. Another way you discredit a conspiracy theory is by flooding the zone. So one of the things I've tried to do when looking at all this stuff is to try to understand sort of where it fits in and to, you know, try to separate the real from the fake. But one really interesting element of the whole Jeffrey Epstein saga. Okay, so he dies in 2019, right? This is at the very end of the first Trump administration. His death coincides very, very closely. This is not my observation. This is a friend, but I don't want to, you know, reveal confidences here. It coincides very closely with the end of what you might call the era of censorship in academia. So back in 2019, 2020, we reached sort of peak academic censorship.
The thing I continue to bring up with this Epstein stuff, and this is where it's so fucking disingenuous, because it's not about people caring about victims, and it's not about people caring about abuse. Because the same people that cry about Epstein every day don't talk about what Tim Tebow is trying to do. They never bring it up, which I think is far fucking more important than this Epstein shit. If you listen to what Tim Tebow has brought to Congress, he's actually spoken with, I think, Marco Rubio. He's talked about this is a fucking horrible problem in this country. And none of these motherfuckers that pretend to care about Epstein are talking about it. Do you want to know why? Because Epstein is very algorithm friendly. And Tim Tebow talking about kids being abused in America is not algorithm friendly. So no one's actually going to fucking talk about it. That's as simple as that. That's the bottom fucking line on it right there.
Where people wouldn't publish a medical study because it might have sort of disparate impact racial undertones, or people were getting fired from academia for not doing land acknowledgments, stuff like that. Okay. I'm not saying that stuff has completely gone away.
Exactly. The thing in the UK with the 250,000 women being abused. Where's my Epstein bros that are obsessed with Epstein? Why aren't they talking about that? Do you know why they weren't talking about that? Because they couldn't tie it back to Israel. They couldn't tie it back to Israel. They didn't pay good enough to talk about it. That's exactly why they didn't want to fucking talk about it.
But Epstein, we know, was funding a ton of scientists. By the way, where did his money come from? He was funding a ton of scientists. But like when he died, it's almost like the era of censorship started to break. Because he was also plugged into a lot of in academia, but also, you know, he's plugged into the social media companies. Like, this is a dude who knew everybody. He knew everybody. So, look.
So where did his money come from?
Well, from given part of it is suspect tax advice and setting up tax schemes for a lot of very, very rich people.
Right, but why was he motivated to influence academia, and what was the purpose?
I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I have theories. There's of course the...
Well, most people think he was Mossad.
Yeah, Mossad or CIA or some other deep state, whether in America or Israel or another country, or both. You know, look, he clearly had connections.
In my contract with Mossad, I have to mention that Mossad is a wonderful organization full of outstanding people, the best people. Just for clarity purposes, like, I don't get my 7,000 if I don't do that. So, you know,
to the highest levels of American intelligence. He clearly had connections to the highest levels of Israeli intelligence. In fact, one of the interesting things the Epstein saga reveals about, and I try to make this point, is one of the reasons why I'm always careful, and I say there are some elements within the Israeli government who don't like our peace process, because there are a lot of elements within the Israeli government that actually do like our peace process. They recognize that this indefinite campaign is not good for them either. And the Epstein thing is interesting because as much as I know, Prime Minister Netanyahu, not a particularly popular person in the United States of America right now.
Finally, JD, self-awareness. This is why I love JD. I don't care what JD's opinion on Netanyahu is, but I appreciate that he acknowledges that he's unpopular. Doesn't mean he has to dislike him, but the acknowledgement is crucial. That is a very respectable thing for him to say that and acknowledge the truth. That is pretty damn awesome.
Now, Epstein seemed to be connected to the elements of the Israeli deep state that were left of center. Like, I've always found that fascinating. It wasn't like he was super connected to the right of center of Israeli politics. America, he was connected across the board. Like, he had Republican friends, he had Democratic friends. He had much deeper connections to the Israeli left of center than right of center. I don't know what that means.
He was hanging out with Steve Bannon and Noam Chomsky.
Exactly. He had, again, in America, he had friends across the political spectrum in a way he didn't necessarily have in Israel.
I had one of my guests try to get me to meet him.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
2017.
See, that's crazy to me, because at that point he'd already gone down for at least one sex abuse thing.
That was my position. I'll show you the emails.
Okay.
They're kind of funny.
Okay. Which
I
guest?
actually read them on stage.
You want to say, okay, fine.
People can find it.
Yeah.
I don't want to have the guy's already ruined.
Sure. But dude,
I Googled it and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
See, but this goes back to my original.
But it's kind of interesting that, because Joe being who Joe is, Joe being the biggest podcaster, and it's kind of like, if you get on Joe Rogan, that's a game changer for your career. And I can only imagine the type of people that Joe Rogan has to navigate through being who he is. That's pretty crazy, man. That's yeah. I've heard him talk about that before.
This is part of what he was doing, right? He wanted to get influential people.
But you go back to the original 2007 warrant on Jeffrey Epstein.
Uh-huh.
All of the really crazy shit happened from the 90s to 2007. That's when he was at the peak of his power. That's when he hadn't yet gone down on a sex abuse scandal. Like, it's your point, right? Even if you have some scumbags who are willing to introduce him to Joe Rogan in 2017, there are a lot of Joe Rogans, or at least some, who are going to say, wait a second, I'm going to Google this guy and find out that he's a predator. A lot didn't.
And that was really crazy.
A lot didn't, but some did. And my point is that would limit his influence. But if you go back to the 1990s, the early 2000s, that is the stuff. I think that is the black hole of the Epstein saga. We don't have nearly enough from that era. And
because it was destroyed.
I think we had a prosecution that explicitly was so narrow that whatever existed would not have even been caught up.
Right. So they were specifically going after him for underage sex. And they didn't look at the full picture of the operation.
They didn't even try to.
Well, that was one of the...
Now, I'm just going to be honest here about why Trump is the way he is. The reason Trump weaves is to not allow himself to be caught up down a rabbit hole. I don't think Joe's a bad guy. Joe's doing his job. Joe is doing exactly what the audience wants him to do, and I'm glad he's doing it. But JD is kind of down the rabbit hole now, and Trump would never allow himself to be in this position. He would never give enough of an answer to allow you to follow up and keep going down the rabbit hole. JD is in pretty deep right now. And, I'm interested how he's going to kind of get out of this or finish this conversation off.
things about the prosecutor was told that he was above their pay grade. I mean, it was one of the things that
No,
he
he said he was like CIA or something.
Yeah.
Right.
He said I was told he was intelligence.
That's right. And yes, I've asked were there documents connecting Jeffrey Epstein directly.
Joe, Trump would pivot to Sleepy Joe. Trump would 100% in 3 minutes would have this conversation turned back to election fraud and the Democrats rigging elections. That's what Trump would do.
To our intelligence agencies or anybody else's? And the answer is no. But if that shit existed, it wouldn't exist in 2026.
What is it like being the vice president? Like, how much access do you have to information? Because
I'll give you another conspiracy. So I have like effectively unlimited access to information.
Unlimited.
Okay, so I think that might be the end of the Epstein stuff right there, but very good stuff. I can't watch all of this right now on stream. It's a Joe Rogan. I don't know if I'm going to get hit. Rogan historically has hit people that watch a lot of his stuff uninterrupted, so I got to be careful with that. But obviously, this just dropped in the last hour. I'm going to watch more of it. I'm very interested to see more of it. And the game is tied at 0 right now. Argentina and England. I'm watching that as well. Matt says, did you play Fortnite with Ayatollah Al Khamenei yet? Hope he's doing well. I'm going to be honest with you. He ghosted me. Can you believe that? Hang on. Let me see if I can. Let me double check. What is his at? Let's see. Is it... What's his at? He did. He ghosted me. Can you believe that shit? Can't find it right now. I'm looking for it to see. Yeah, I can't believe the guy. There it is. Is this him? Let's see. How many fucking Twitter accounts does this guy have? Let's see. Let me put Fortnite. I got to go through my messages and search. I hope he didn't block me. That would be bullshit. Yeah, right here. Bro, I hit him up on February 28th. Fortnite or nah? Bro ghosted me. Like, dude, you could have at least said no. But he didn't even respond. Like, come on, man. I'm just trying to see if we can get some squads going, and this dude ghosted me completely. That's bullshit, man. Like, have a little respect. But whatever. I'm not mad about it. I'm not angry. It is what it is. Be like that. Let's see. McTaz says, you're not grifting me ton? Oh, fuck. You mean son? Thank you. Flag Ninja says, Jeremy, what's your favorite Christian Bale movie and why is it Terminator Salvation? Well, I love Terminator Salvation. And it's a difficult thing to ask because by default, my favorite Christian Bale movie is going to be The Dark Knight. But that's not my favorite Christian Bale performance. My favorite Christian Bale performance is either American Psycho or Ford versus Ferrari. That'd probably be my two favorite performances of his. I think, off the top of my head. But yeah, my favorite Bale movie would be The Dark Knight. But yeah, there you go. But Salvation's great. Daniel says all the comments on the Rogan video are accusing JD of being Peter Thiel's puppet. These people learned the word Palantir a year ago, and now they believe Vance is the Antichrist. Welcome to the internet. I'll be your guide. It's crazy, man. Yeah. Yep. I'm sure that I'm sure the comment section is a fucking disaster. Doc Hollywood says, go see the Odyssey to support your boy. Okay, Angry Joe. Yeah, I mean, I'm memeing on that, but you don't have to go see the Odyssey. I'll go see it enough times. Don't worry. I will be good. But the the movie's going to make a lot of money. And there's going to be a lot of cope. There's going to be a lot of goalpost moving. There's going to be a lot of people trying to change the narrative and all of that. And I can't fucking wait. Jeffrey Andrews says Dan Bongino might have been right all along. Maybe. Jeremy Wormy says, I got told by a trusted source in Wisconsin that the Odyssey won't make $100 million. Do with that as you will. Heavy D says, Ann Coulter is a rhino. I'm not going to say that word. Rolling the Wretched for 20 says, only 3 weeks to Vegas, Jeremy. You still owe me a gay Ryan, and I expect you to deliver this year. I know it's hard for you to not disappoint, but for once, you are going to deliver on something. Still no fondling. Love ya, Fig. Ryan will be there. Ryan will be there. And I will too. Scooter McGee says, will it have a big opening weekend and drop off? I mean, I can't predict it, but I mean, if we're looking at how history's gone, I was even looking at Polymarket. Polymarket is skyrocketing with it having $115 million opening weekend now, which would be the biggest of Nolan's career outside of Batman and a lot more than Oppenheimer. And if you are using common sense, Nolan movies never drop off. They have really good legs. So again, I'll just continue to watch the cope. Tried to warn everybody, but they didn't listen. Rock Bottom says Trump is live. I will go over to that here in just a minute. Alex Aerocave says stay on topic, streamer. Meta PC code 199. Flag Ninja says I didn't know what JD Advance who JD Advance is. I only know I said Advanced. All right. I didn't know who JD Vance is. I only know JD Advanced. I've gotten to the point where I call him JD Advanced half the time. It's fucking crazy. East Coast Toasted Boy says, I guarantee people tracked by Tim Tebow are the same ones involved with Epstein stuff. Common sense would conclude, but alas. I mean, 100%. I agree with that completely, but these people aren't even talking about this stuff that Tebow has brought up. The people that are obsessed with the Epstein stuff aren't even talking about it. Under Armour Gaming says, AJ is streaming on InfoWars X. How? Alex Jones? What do you mean? Oh, well, he's on InfoWars? Really? Interesting. Rock Bottom says, Bale does look good as Al Davis. I am interested to see that one. That was going to be good. Prom Night, Bama Baby says, did I do good? Hang on. Did I do good, Father, giving you right timestamp? Haven't heard from you since, and your mom left me in the dumpster. What? Thank you, I guess. Drew Bar says, drunk 3PO's popcorn bucket tax. Caligula says, I heard from a good source, Mitch, that the Ayatollah is a Nolan bro. So tell him Fortnite is doing an Odyssey collab and he'll show up. I'll be playing. Well, I won't be playing the Odyssey collab tomorrow because I'll be, I'm seeing it and then I'm covering Trump's speech and then I'm seeing it again. I guess Friday night after I ruffle feathers on Friday Night Tights, I'll probably do the Odyssey collab Fortnite on D-Day Cobra Gaming. Probably do that. Let me see here. Let me see. It's not cope when 50% will only go see Odyssey because Nolan's name. Once again, that's not a W. I don't understand what that means. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Munchie Ninja says Mark Wayne Mullen stopped doing traffic stops Trump. And I took that. Stop doing traffic stops Trump. And I took that personally. I actually have that story pulled up. But let me get everybody out of your little bubble really quick. Jeremy Johns did his review for the Odyssey. Let's listen to a little bit of what Jeremy Johns had to say.
Brings us his adaptation of Homer's The Odyssey. Let's talk about it. So The Odyssey is the new film directed by director Christopher Nolan. It stars Matt Damon as Odysseus, and this is the story of the Odyssey. More than that, it's Christopher Nolan's telling of the Odyssey, which kind of sounds like a no shit moment, but it's decidedly very Nolan does the Odyssey. Odysseus is the king of Ithaca. He was also in the Trojan War for 10 years. Then he and his men are going to sail home, and Poseidon and the rest of the gods say, we'll just see about that. This
Donuts
is
in the chat,
story
baby.
Of a man in
Donuts
Greek
in the
mythology
chat.
trying to get home. That's 10 years on top of the 10 years he already spent at the War of Troy. Trying to get home in a world pre-Google Maps. In a world pre-MapQuest, but no printer. We all remember 10 years minimum. All the while, these suitors have invaded his home. They're trying to take his throne. So his wife and son, played by Anne Hathaway and Tom Holland, got to deal with that. While they're trying to hold on to hope that Odysseus is still alive out there. Now, what I found interesting is I heard, we'll call it a rumor because it turned out to be not too true, no influencers screening the Odyssey early. And all the early reactions and reviews were influencers talking about how great the Odyssey was. They were gushing about it, which led me to the natural thought of, wow, these early reactions really love the Odyssey. Man, you mean this movie might suck? No.
Dude, that's exactly what my worry was, because they all were going crazy over it. And there were so many people that were praising it. And most of them were losers that have nothing to do with movies. And I'm like, oh shit. Well,
the Odyssey is epic. And that could mean it's just big, but this movie's great. First of all, Matt Damon. Never would have cast him as Odysseus, not gonna lie. But the dude clocks into work. I thought it was gonna be the Matt Damon show. You know, it's like, okay, if he shines,
we don't have to watch the whole thing, but we can just go to the end.
You gonna crack yet? Here's another thing. How about now? Here's another thing. How about now? Thing is, the emotional impact of this film, I was thinking about it all night. It doesn't end when the end credits hit. I took it home with me. In the end, if it's not apparent, yeah, I absolutely loved Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. Well, Christopher Nolan's take on Homer's The Odyssey. You know what I mean? It's like the absolute cinema meme rolled into one film. Even with the slow start, I mean, it doesn't have a lot of get up and go early on. It is giving you a lot of information. Funny enough, it's kind of a hybrid of show and tell. Usually it's one or the other. It's telling while showing. But that's for about 25 minutes of setup. All things considered for the Odyssey, it's pretty time efficient. I guess it didn't bother me because I don't see the Odyssey how I've heard some people describe the Odyssey. I've heard this movie described as an action movie. It has action in it, but I feel it's more of a drama with action in it. And granted, the action scenes are great. They're standouts. They're exciting. More than that, this film is amazing at tension. It's big, it's epic, it's heartfelt, it's soulful, it's tragic. It unexpectedly made me chuckle a couple times. One of my favorites of the year, not even a question. With an ending that's satisfying, as I remember the ending of the Odyssey being. The Odyssey is awesome-tacular.
Woo! Damn, I was told I was crazy. I was told I was wrong. I was told nobody's gonna like this movie, Jeremy. Tried to warn them. I tried to tell them. Nobody wanted to listen. Nobody. They just said, Jeremy, you're being a fanboy. And I said, okay, go ahead, bark up the tree of Nolan and see what happens. See what happens. This ain't Rachel Zegler. This ain't Brie Larson. This ain't Kathleen Kennedy. But they didn't listen. Jer L. Cobra tried to warn them all. But the dislikes, guys, it's got a lot of dislikes. Nonsense. But the cope will continue, and I'm here for it. Your bubble has been bursted. I can't wait to see it tomorrow. And I did talk to someone that I very much trust, and they loved it, but they did say point blank, like, I'm not going to guarantee you telling me that you're going to love it. I think you will, but I'm very interested to hear your thoughts because it ain't perfect. And there are some flaws in it. And I'm interested to hear how you're going to, think about them. But yeah, so we'll see. The last thing is that you doing G&G play tonight, Jeremy? Not tonight. I don't think so. Vault 199 Gaming says, I hope tomorrow's big address isn't trading cards. Peter says both Jeremys are compromised. Damn right. Storm Shadow says Jeremy will be a Pee Wee Herman in Odyssey Theater. Over on Rumble says Uper Viking says guilt, not grift tax. Let's freaking go. But yeah, welcome to having to be honest with people. Don't care if you don't like it. Not telling you you have to like it. You don't have to go see The Odyssey. You can tell Nolan to go fuck himself. My argument was always, whether you're interested or not, this movie will be a huge, huge success. And most people are going to like it because most people have liked every movie that Nolan has ever done. And that's just the truth. I also said consistently, Ellen Page and Lupita Nyong'o are barely in the movie. That has been confirmed. And I was right. So, you can't like shit movies. It's okay. But you're white wing, this and that. You sound like an annoying leftist. Yeah. Ellen Page is a proxy for Achilles. I've heard differently. But look, Gary, we know you're not going to like it. We know that. Spoilers, Gary's not going to like The Odyssey. Can you believe it? Just like Gary didn't like Oppenheimer. And nobody else apparently liked Oppenheimer. It was a flop too. So we won't be surprised. Gary won't like it. Spoilers. But everybody else will. And I was right. And just like when they laughed at Ann Coulter when she said Trump was going to win, Trump won, and Nolan's going to win. Just like I said, Nolan will win. And the next time we have a movie that's getting disliked, everybody's going to go, the dislikes don't matter. You guys focused on The Odyssey for 6 months because it had a bunch of dislikes and nothing fucking mattered because it never fucking mattered. Nolan was never going to fail. It was never going to happen. And I kept fucking telling everybody, watch what you are doing right now. Criticize him for these casting decisions, as I have consistently. Call him out for it, but have the perspective to understand. If you want to talk about, is Tom Brady going to go 0-16 in a season? Clearly, that's not going to happen. Clearly, Nolan's not going to just make a complete and total flop disaster. It's not going to happen. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. After I see it, I can't wait. John Jones says, apparently Ellen Page and Felon of Troy have relatively small screen time, like I predicted for the past 3 months. Even so, casting them and Travis Scott was a big fat mistake. Maybe could have avoided the internet firestorm without him. Maybe not. Because the internet wants to be angry about shit. And they're going to be angry about shit. There's nothing you can do about it. But be honest and go, yeah, you know, like all of these people, I keep hearing, there's no Greeks in the movie. Go watch Troy. Another movie with no major Greek roles. There's a black woman in it. Go watch the 97 adaptation. You mean the other movie with a black woman in it? Like, if you believe what you believe, then believe what you believe. But telling me that you're not going to see a Nolan's movie because there's a black woman, I'm going to go watch the 97 movie instead that has a fucking black woman in it, doesn't make a lot of fucking sense. Telling me that you don't want to see The Odyssey because it disrespects Greek people, I'm going to watch Troy instead. Troy has no fucking Greek people in it either. Neither does the 97 Odyssey. It's a fucking virtue signal. And people are completely in a bubble. 100%. John Wayne says, unless you know something I don't, I believe most people in our sphere have been saying that The Odyssey was always going to be financially successful, regardless of quality, because it's Nolan film. Wait until my review, where I have about 100, maybe 200 screenshots of people saying it's going to flop. Some with massive followings. Everybody was just, and I got a lot of fucking screenshots of tweets. It's going to flop, guys. I just bided my time. And I was like, okay, have your fun, you know, but you guys are going to look stupid pretty soon. Jimmy Ray says, I hope Odyssey succeeds and causes Hollywood to triple down on wokeness. They haven't lost enough money. You know, I saw an interesting take from somebody that I don't necessarily know if I agree with it. I kind of look at it the same way that I see like the hyperbole of like how Nolan is like secretly plotting to do X, Y, or Z. I looked at his take the same way. I'm not overly familiar with this guy, but he's highly respected from the people that follow him. And he essentially is saying, and again, I want to be clear, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't, this is like way out there as far as I'm concerned. But he's basically saying that Nolan has used this movie as a Trojan horse, and he used woke as the Trojan horse in order to bring back family values and the hero's journey and masculinity. That is what he is saying. And he just uploaded a video about it, and it's absolutely incredible. So I sent this to someone that I know that has seen the Odyssey, and I said, I think this is kind of nuts, but what do you think of this? The person responded to me and they said, holy fuck, this has my head spinning. And I was like, on the surface, I think this is crazy. But a lot of people, man, a lot of people really like this guy. And like, let me go to the quote tweets. I mean, of course, he's getting hammered because, of course, people have just been programmed to go, oh, Odyssey bad, Odyssey bad. But strongest possible endorsement from someone I trust precisely in this context. So we either got Nolan is a weak man who surrendered to the woke mob in pursuit of accolades from people who would hate him, or Christopher Nolan is a genius playing 9D chess. Which one are we talking about? So the Tom Holland guy is a fucking clown. I know he loved the Odyssey. He's a fucking clown though. So he responds right here calling this guy a Marxist, even though the guy is saying he likes the fucking movie. God, people are retarded. So there was another one right here. Thinking West says, now things just got interesting. So I don't know, man. This is going to be a wild one right here. How people are responding to all of this. Again, I can totally see why you would think this is crazy. This coming from whatever his name is a hell of a positive sign. The trailers in Nolan's Odyssey wouldn't be the first in the past decade to set the reactionaries' hair on fire, and it wouldn't be the last by any means. I've also been told that not told actually. Did I see it in a review? Oh yeah, John's review. Jeremy John says that the Let's Go scene is completely in a different context in the movie. Like so many things in Nolan's trailers. But hey, you know, memes are memes, right? So yeah, right here. I mean, the conversation around this movie is going to be wild. And the fact that this guy is making a point that Nolan is using all of this to bring back traditional heroism and the hero's journey and family values and a father and a son. But I'm sure the right wingers online that told you this was going to be a woke disaster are right. So we'll see. Miniature Von Think says, I'm concerned. All I'm concerned about is, will you be honest about the woke elements in the movie? Love it all you want. That's fine, bro. But don't gaslight saying there's nothing woke in it just because you love it. Well, I have a word for you. It's called Man of Steel. Man of Steel is a Christopher Nolan movie that was directed by Zack Snyder, who Christopher Nolan hired to direct Man of Steel. Christopher Nolan wrote Man of Steel. Christopher Nolan brought Henry Cavill on. Christopher Nolan had to be convinced of the ending of Man of Steel. Guess what movie I hate? Man of Steel. I hate that movie. It's a Christopher Nolan movie. So yes, I will be if I don't like it. Udite says one of two. Nolan is like Elon, 80% super genius, 20% he's got some problems. I actually don't disagree with this at all. I don't disagree with this at all. He's got some problems. He does most things at single elements like dialogue, sound, and not whole movies very well. But he misses the cringe airballs. Largely depends on the ratio of those misses. We'll see. But I imagine a Dark Knight Rises, which I liked, like you, type of audience divide based on what I'm hearing. Definitely cashing in, though. Yeah, I mean, like, Nolan's biggest problem is his sound design is completely awful in a lot of his movies. And I've heard mixed reactions about the Odyssey. And let's be clear. Like, bad sound in a movie is like a hot chick with terrible breath. It's kind of important. So like you can have like a smoking hot chick, but if she walks up to you and her breath just stinks, you're like, not worth it. And so having a movie with bad sound like Tenet, like The Dark Knight Rises, and even Interstellar to some extent, those are valid criticisms. So yeah, I actually agree with that take. 100%. Taco Woman Sandy Raver says Ellen Page is playing Sinan, who isn't even mentioned in the Odyssey. This was all about Oscar's diversity quota. This is a retarded statement, but I mean, he won all the Oscars for Oppenheimer. You don't need to put people on screen for the diversity quota. So if you're going to make this statement, at least understand what you're talking about. It can be people from behind the scenes. So that he doesn't need Oscars. So I know Elon said that, but if you actually look at it, not true. Tristan says, I agree with Gary. It's a bad adaptation. Ellen Page is playing Achilles' role, just renamed. Hey, Snake Boy, the only thing gayer than you is the Nolan fanboy. I am. Wait, hang on. Let me just put that as my title. Let's see here. Can we title edit name? Hang on. Put Nolan We Trust. There we go. In Nolan We Trust, baby. Boogie's Twisted Tipples. Would you even tell us if you didn't like it? No, I have to, I just got a paycheck from Universal, so why would I say that? Dark Red Knight says Odyssey Cast 199. Udite says maybe not a woke disaster, but as far as using wokeness as a Trojan horse for tradition, the whole pussy hat thing makes me doubt. But here's hoping. We'll see. I mean, I'm the reason most people know about that anyway, that he went to his fucking thing with his wife with a pink pussy hat and an anti-Trump rally. I told everybody that. Why? Because it needs to be said. So you're welcome for knowing that. But yeah, I can't wait to watch the fucking cope happening with this movie, because motherfuckers spent 6 months crying over something and giving little context to the fact that for 25 fucking years, Christopher Nolan has been the undisputed king of Hollywood, the undisputed king of the audience, and motherfuckers thought he was Rachel Zegler or Brie Larson. And you're about to find out that you've been in Fortnite bot lobbies, and now you've been put into a real lobby. And now everybody's going to look fucking retarded. Dislikes, guys. Wokeness, guys. Okay. We'll see how it ends for you. Probably not going to end up well. But with that said, I'm going to go watch Argentina hopefully defeat Christopher Nolan's England. I saw him cheering about England. So go Argentina. And I hope that it pisses off the Ronaldo fans, because I really think Ronaldo fans are obnoxious losers. Argentina did they score? Who just scored? Or was it England scored? I can't fucking tell. Am I behind? England scored. Okay. England scored. Fuck you, Nolan. Argentina. We need Argentina to win. Fuck. You're still ignoring Nolan's own words on the Odyssey. What are his own words? What are his own words? Let's hear it. What are his own words? Come on. Tell me. Let's pick out interviews. Let's snip out interviews and just roast it for fucking 50 fucking minutes and pretend that it fucking matters. So we haven't been doing that for 7 fucking years. Okay, hang on. No shit, England scored, Jeremy. They even it football, the correct way to say it. It's soccer. We're in America. We don't acknowledge your bullshit. Football is played by football players like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. miss me with your football bullshit, okay? I understand that's a very unpopular take because soccer is the most popular sport in the world. So, so do tell me this because I am fairly new to soccer, football. How many? So right now it says there's 56 minutes. How many minutes are total in the game? Is it 90? So when is halftime, or have they already had halftime? Have they already had halftime? Oh, good. I'm trying to change the subject. Okay. Well, you asked for it. You don't want, if you want me to change the subject, the worst thing to do is to tell me that I'm trying to change the subject, because now we're going to go back to it now. 90 plus extension. Okay. 90 plus extension. Since you thought I was trying to change the subject, there is a person that I've been following for a long time. And I don't think he knows who I am. I followed this guy when my channel was first taking off back in like 2018. And he's got a small YouTube channel. I've always liked his stuff. I really liked his review of the Odyssey. And this is a very, I think, honest review of the Odyssey. An emotional horror film disguised as an epic blockbuster fantasy thriller that suffocates and overwhelms you with moody atmosphere. A shockingly dark, creepy, haunted movie that has the energy and flaws of an 80s fantasy film. I like that right there. The energy and flaws of an 80s fantasy film or a somewhat cheesy 90s blockbuster such as Con Air or a James Cameron blockbuster. I really like that. And then he says, like those movies, the movie is trying so hard to be epic. It can be cheesy and emotionally too over the top at times, but minor flaws aside, there are at least 5 or 6 best sequences of all time crammed in here and maybe more. And somehow the madman has done it. Masterpiece. Fucking love it. That's a great take. So we'll see what happens. Jeremy looking for confirmation bias. I don't have to look too far. I mean, we can point to Film Threat, like everybody pretended that was the prominent one. Like, hey, the guys that have been hating on the movie for the past 6 months end up hating it, while literally everybody else fucking loves it. But we're just going to pretend that that's the only fucking review on the internet. Okay. The nonsense is like been out of fucking control. And the people that are so emotionally tied to like other people being excited, I'm so over the fucking echo chamber. It's fucking wild. Udite says, maybe not. Oh, I got that. Toddy says, going to see it with my dad, who showed me Clash of the Titans when I was a kid. He hated Oppenheimer, loved Dunkirk, and others will see. Dunkirk's a little meh. I liked it, but it's not great. I liked it, though. John Wayne says, would Nolan be Mossad by any chance? The plot thickens. Is Nolan the person that's paying me via Mossad? Just saying. Storm Shadow says, I just like to troll you. Nolan cast 199. Let's fucking go. Caligula says, I need more hood ninjas in my movie. Fran Forsyth says, fuck, bang, thud. So 90 minutes. 90 minutes. And we're at 60 minutes now. Okay. Explain to me the penalty, because I see like at the end of the games how they add like 5 or 6 minutes, and that's so different than what they do with like NFL and NBA. So I don't really understand how do they determine what gets added? I don't really understand that. Storm Shadow says, I'm going for England because some college football meme said they are like Texas saying it's our year. Argentina was Bama. Hook 'em. All right, let me break that down for a minute. No one gets to know. Ref's discretion. That seems very strange. That's what it looked like to me. It seemed like when I saw them adding minutes to the game, I looked at it and says, how do they determine how many minutes they add? It feels very not consistent. It's based on the type of stoppage. And people are happy with that. That's weird. Stoppage time at the end of the game is an estimate of how much time they waste between action in the game. Okay, that's a very simplistic way for me to understand it. So what you're saying is in the middle of the game, unlike the NFL, so I'm trying to apply this to American sports. So unlike the NFL, when someone is injured, they stop the clock. But in soccer, when someone is injured, the clock keeps running, and then the referees add an estimated time to the end of the game, right? And there's no timeouts. Okay. All right, that makes sense. Okay, I get it now. I'm going for England because some college football meme said they are like Texas saying, quote, it's our year. Argentina was Bama, hook 'em. Okay, I get it. Because Messi and Argentina, they're like the top ones, right? Was Jeremy going to cover Trump on this CobraCast mods? I actually got tied up and forgot. Let's see. You know what? Fuck it. We're staying live. We're not going anywhere because you are correct. Who said that? Who said that? JAK, it says, was Jeremy going to? You are correct. So we are going to stay live because you called me out on it properly. Trump is still live?
But it doesn't matter what they want because we're the ones that are running it. And just to finish, I want to thank our great Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. He's fantastic, that man. And the House Budget Chairman, Jody Arrington, for launching an effort to get the Save America Act passed, including voter, I mean, it's so basic, voter photo ID, identification, proof of citizenship, and hopefully no corrupt mail-in ballots. We'll have exceptions for the military. We'll have exceptions for disability, for people that are not feeling well, or for people that are on vacation or anything. We're going to make it very easy. But the mail-in ballots, you see what happens in California. The vote still isn't counted. Can you believe it? It's like, what, 6 weeks? The vote still isn't counted. But the kid really, he was Spencer Pratt. I don't know Spencer Pratt. He came to the White House and saw me. But Spencer Pratt was an automatic lock, and he didn't make it. There was a little thing, Dina. They said, well, Spencer's falling behind a woman that nobody ever heard of. He's falling behind. No, it's very corrupt. And they were going to do that to Steve Hilton, too. And I had the U.S. attorney, did a great job. He started an investigation. They said, Steve Hilton is starting to fall badly behind. And I said, that doesn't mean falling behind. That means cheating is going on. This is 2 weeks after the election. So I got the U.S. attorney involved. And like 20 minutes after they made that statement, they said, Steve Hilton just made the runoff. These are crooked people. These are crooked people. The whole thing is terrible. But along with our incredible farmers and funding for our troops, so we're getting a tremendous amount of funding for our farmers, and we take care of our troops. We got them a great pay raise. But I support those efforts, and we're cheering them on. And the actions that we've announced today will create thousands of new Pennsylvania jobs, and they'll make our entire nation stronger and more prosperous than ever before. We have the strongest nation that we've ever had. We have the most successful nation that we've ever had. We've never had a thing happen. So many people, the biggest people came, financial people said, well, sir, I've been in business for 35 years. One gentleman, he looked like a young man, but he said 35 years, so he blew it. But he said, I've been in business for 35 years. I've never seen anything like what's happening right now. I'll bet Jamie would say that. I'll bet John would say that. There's never been a period of time like this. So I want to thank, again, Senator McCormick, once again, for this incredible get-together, but really, much more importantly, for the outstanding work that he's doing as a senator. He's an incredible person. And Pennsylvania has never had a greater warrior at the U.S. Senate than Dave McCormick, and it's an honor to be with you all. And we're going to do things that nobody would believe. If you go back 2 years when we were a failing nation, nobody would believe that we could be doing business and we could be even safety. The lowest murder number since 1900. Think of that. The lowest number since 1900, 125 years ago. Nobody would believe we have the lowest crime numbers, despite the fact that millions and millions of people came into our country illegally, and many of them were, they're gone now.
They gone.
But many of them
they gone
were from prisons.
Did Trump just go hood? Many of them, they gone now. Did he just go hood on us?
They were drug addicts.
I got to hear that again.
To our country illegally, and many of them were, they're gone now, but many of them were from prisons. They were drug addicts. They were from mental institutions. We have the lowest crime numbers we've had in decades and the lowest murder number in 125 years. So it's really been amazing. And David, I'll give it to you. I'll turn it out, but it's just an honor. I'm with so many people that I respect so much. I don't know all of you. I know many of you through reputation, through reading, but you're an amazing group of people, and you really are making our country great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
They gone. They gone. Well, we will probably cover the highlights later, but since I'm still here, I wanted to play this video for everybody because I thought this was very interesting. 2028 is something that we speculate on a lot as to what's going to happen, a world without Trump, all of that. Glenn Beck has this video right here. Is Trump preparing Marco Rubio as a third Trump term? That's an interesting question for sure. Okay? Because we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared for 2028.
Game of The Apprentice. I really do. I think we're in the game of The Apprentice. I really do. I think that's what we're watching. A real life apprentice. There are memes that go around.
Hang on. Holy crap. Incoherent name for 50. Says, with the exception of Thune, all the major bullshit neocons in the Senate will be out of office by 2028. It took 10 years, but populism is successfully taken over the Republican Party. Hopefully, JD's Senate will have some balls when he gets in. Thank you. And, you brought up JD, and I'm going to have something to say about that because I like Marco Rubio a lot. But I also like JD Vance a lot. So either way, there's good on the horizon. Either one of these guys. But the point that Glenn Beck is making is very interesting. Let me finish up on catching these up, and then we'll. Heavy D says England's captain Kane played golf with Trump. Vikes fan, unfortunately, says ever heard of 1970s Pope Minnesota power line dispute? I'm not overly familiar with that. Minister Ronthing says, honestly, I hope it makes $4 billion in one weekend. Otherwise, I could see you going on a blocking spree that would make Naughty Dog look like Krista. Don't block anybody. Won't be blocking anybody. Lord Botha says, England hasn't won a World Cup since 1966, but they're always in the mix. They're a consummate underdog. Interesting. Okay. Lord Botha says, also at the end of the tournament, games like this where there has to be a winner. If the game is still tied, they'll go do extra time, 2 more 15-minute halves. Even if it's still tied after that, then penalty kicks. Okay. Noted. Objectively, a cat says Nolan on parenthood is like J.K. Rowling on gender. All right, here we go.
Memes are funny because, they're mostly true. Okay. And the memes that go around are that Rubio is running everything. You've seen the meme. There he is, the meme of him on the couch as Maduro.
Okay, so again, I thought that you couldn't put it in a super chat. A lot of times when people are trying to put cuss words in super chats, they have to respell it in order to get it past the censors. So that's why I thought that's what that was. My bad.
There he is the mullah of Iran. I mean, because he has all these jobs, right? Secretary of State, sworn in January 21st, 2025. Then he was made the acting administrator of USAID in February. There's 2 jobs. Then acting archivist of the United States in February. Then acting national security advisor on the 1st of May. Mike Waltz was moved to the UN. So that's 4 offices. For a stretch there, he held all 4 jobs at the same time. 1 man, 4 hats. Okay. And that's just the titles. Because underneath all of those titles, he's been handed the Venezuela transition after Maduro. He's been in the room and sometimes at the head of the table on Russia and Ukraine. He also co-led the Iran briefings on the Hill. If there's a fire on the planet, I'm not sure if Marco doesn't. There's another forest fire out west. I'm not sure if he's like Mark.
I mean, nothing Glenn Beck is saying is incorrect. I do think that the lack of context as to the job that JD Vance has done in this video, and to be fair, I listened to this video in passing earlier when I was out walking, so I might have missed it, but I do think it's important to add the context that JD Vance has done a phenomenal job for what he has been needing to do as Trump's vice president. He's been phenomenal. Okay. So just wanted to quote that.
Marco, you got to go out and hold the hose. Not sure. The easy read in this for me is Trump doesn't trust anybody. He doesn't trust anybody. He trusts people who can get the job done. Everybody in his organization, they're always double tasked. Nobody ever in his organization ever says, that's not my job. So the cynical reach here is that you would say, well, he just doesn't have a lot of good people around him. But that's not true. Let me give you another perspective, because it keeps coming to me. I talked to, I don't remember which one of the Trump sons years ago. And we were talking, I was like, what was it like to grow up with Donald Trump as your dad? And he said, Dad had a rule, laid it down when we were kids. If you ever want to take over this business, you have to know every single job that is done. Everything. You have to know, because if you not have a briefing on it, you have to do it. Start at the bottom, sweep the floors, learn the pipe fitting, learn concrete pouring, all of it. Because if you don't know what everybody does, people are going to be able to BS you, okay? And I think that's what happened to Donald Trump in the first term. He was a little BS'd by people because he didn't know exactly. He knows it now. So Marco Rubio, in 18 months, has run American diplomacy, foreign aid.
Beck's trying to look cool and in with the cultural stuff.
National security apparatus, our archives. He has been negotiating wars, negotiating peace treaties, I should say. He's done all of it. He's done all of it. Tell me that's not damn near every job in the building. I mean, he's the keeper of the nation's records, the man who holds the paper, diplomacy, money, war, memory, all of it. Trump has said out loud more than once. He told me when he was running in 2024, I said, can you get this done in 4 years? He said, 4? I've got 2. I'm a lame duck after 2 years. He said, so I got to get all of the heavy lifting done in the first 2 years. And then we need 2 more terms. We need 12 years, Glenn. If you really want to kill this, you have to have 3 terms. So he's serving the first one, which means somewhere in the back of his mind is the question, who is going to succeed? Who's going to succeed me? Who's going to be the guy who steps in and can do 8 terms that gets it? So here's my question to you. Is Marco Rubio doing what Donald Trump's sons have done? Is Donald Trump schooling?
Again, these are all fair points and very valid points to make. I think that Marco Rubio is doing the job that he needs to do, but I also feel like JD Vance is doing the job that he needs to do. JD Vance is a phenomenal vice president, and in my perfect scenario outside of Trump 2028, which is my perfect scenario is JD as Prez and Marco as VP. That to me is and you have to think about this from a long-term perspective. Fucking hell, Argentina almost scored. You got to think about this as you don't need to think about the next 8 years. You got to think about the next 16 fucking years. You got to be thinking about all this stuff. The next 8 years sounds good. What is that line in The Social Network? Like, you know what, like $1 million is cool. You know what's really cool or some shit like that. I can't remember. I never watched. If I watched Social Network, it was only one time. But 8 years sounds cool. Do you know what's really cool? 16 years. 16 more years.
Marco Rubio, whether he says it out loud, whether he even knows it himself, is that what's happening? Now, I know that sounds weird, but I think we're watching The Apprentice. But let me take you to 1814. Washington, D.C., literally on fire. British have burned the Capitol. They burned the White House. The president of the United States is James Madison at the time, and he's a fugitive in his own capital city, okay? Secretary of War is John Armstrong, and he failed so horribly, he's driven from office in disgrace because they just burned down the Capitol and the White House. Okay, the man's nearly mobbed in the streets. So Madison turns, who do I trust? He takes James Monroe, who's the Secretary of War. Monroe is still the Secretary of State. Now he's the Secretary of State and the Secretary of War. He has both jobs at once. It's the only time in American history where a president has made the same person fill two roles in a cabinet. Okay? Two cabinet offices filled simultaneously. Only time it ever happened. But he also said, you're not going to do this behind your desk. Before the Battle of Bladensburg, Monroe rides out on horseback to scout the British.
Argentina almost scored.
Columns himself because he doesn't trust the reports that are coming in. So the Secretary of the United States and the Secretary of War, both the same guy in the same saddle, goes out and counts the enemy troops with his own eyes. The guy didn't sleep for 6 months. Smoke clears. James Monroe is the most obvious successor in the country for the president, and he wins the presidency in 1816. Reelected in 1820. And he's reelected with all but one electoral vote. They named an entire era after how good everybody felt about it. And Marco Rubio is much more of a feel-good kind of guy. I mean, he is tough as the nails. I never thought this about Marco Rubio. I really liked Marco Rubio. And when did he run the first time? 2016. I really liked him. But he seemed kind of squishy. That guy's not squishy anymore. Not at all. So James Monroe was not Madison's protege. James Monroe was Madison's rival. In 1808, Monroe ran against Madison for the nomination, and Monroe lost, and it was bitter, and they had been friends from the beginning, since the Revolution, and they stopped speaking for years. So Madison...
Why do I care about soccer all of a sudden? It's just, I just started watching when the USA was winning, and obviously the World Cup's a thing, and I didn't mean to because I've always kind of shit-talked soccer, to be fair, and I probably won't care about it when it's done. But in the moment, you know, here in Orlando at City Walk, it was crazy, the energy out there when they had a game. I mean, there were so many people at City Walk. It was insane, and it was like it was impossible to not kind of get caught up in that moment. But, yeah, I won't pretend that I'll care about it after this, but yeah, in the moment, I'm interested to kind of see what's going on since it's in the United States and all of that. Even though America looked terrible in that game that I watched, but plus Donald Trump is at the center of it.
And brings him back not out of affection, but out of necessity, because the house is burning, literally. Monroe's the only one Madison believed could carry the water. Now, think about the ugliest primary of our time. It had to be 20 in my lifetime.
Bandwagon much? It says Adez. Absolutely not. I was the first man to fuck your mom. Everybody else did it after me. So absolutely, I am not a bandwagon. I fucked her first. Everybody else followed me, but I got there first.
I mean, it has to be 2016. Little Marco. Think about the little hands. Think about what those two said to each other on the debate stage in 2016. Then look who's sitting in the second chair on Air Force One in 2026. History doesn't repeat, but sometimes it rhymes so hard your teeth hurt, you know? There's a pipeline that people have forgotten. 1801 to 1837, Secretary of State's office was the on-ramp to the presidency. Jefferson's Secretary of State was Madison, who became president. Madison, Monroe, who became president. Monroe's Secretary of State was John Quincy Adams, who became president. Jackson's was Martin Van Buren, who became president. It was so automatic that ambitious men, they schemed for the job. They didn't want the vice president, they wanted that one. And then when it stopped with James Buchanan in 1857, that's the last Secretary of State to ever become president of the United States. That's 169 years ago. Hillary Clinton had that job. John Kerry had that job. Colin Powell was begged.
I think that the Secretary of State under President Trump is a completely different Secretary of State in any other time. Not to say the Secretary of State hasn't been a prominent position, because it has. But under Donald Trump, the job is completely different. The perception around the job is completely different. And I think that we're going to view it like that for sure, but context is important. With that said, even with everything Beck is saying, and he still has a little bit more to say, I am convinced that JD is the heir apparent. That's what I'm convinced of. Marmillion finally shows up. Marmillion, you have been the talk of the chat, Rumble and YouTube. They were all sending Marmillion stream chat grift tags. They were all tied of variations. Double it, stream chat grift tags. Busy at work, was trying to watch the VOD to catch up, and I heard I'm being talked about, but never fear, I is here. Hail the 199 and the king. Big. There we go. Thank you, Marmillion. Hail to you, brother.
To run. Not one of them made it. In modern America, the Secretary of State's office is not an escalator. It's a cul-de-sac. You come in and you go out. It's not an escalator. But I think because the Secretary of State always seems so damn pompous and so about other countries, that's why this ICC thing is so important for Rubio to head. Look, Donald Trump could have come out and said, I don't want anything to do with the International Criminal Court, but he let Marco do it instead. So Marco is the one saying it's got to be about America, not foreigners. That's not the Secretary of State. As
I will say, like, Marco, if you look at it, like, he legit does have a level of aura and seriousness about him now. It's crazy, man. Like, it is truly the definition of a character development. Do you know what Marco Rubio is from 2016 to current? Do you know what he is? He's Walter White. The development. You look at Walter White in the first episode of Breaking Bad versus Walter White into Heisenberg. That is what Marco Rubio has done. That is the level of character development that this dude has went through.
I grew up looking at the Secretary of State. Secretary of State was always about, being the person, for the United States, but they're also, they're very diplomatic. They don't ruffle any feathers, blah, 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 blah. Donald Trump doesn't anoint anyone. Donald Trump has never anointed anybody in his life. The show that made him a household name is called The Apprentice, not The Heir, The Apprentice. The entire premise, the entire moral architecture of that program was that nobody is handed anything. You have to earn it. 16 people fight for it in front of the whole world, and every week somebody is sent home. And the guy who wins because he performed, not because he was owed. That's, again, different than what we have seen. It's always, it's his turn. Why did they pick Biden? Why was that such a big deal? Because it was his turn. Why was Hillary Clinton so upset in 2008 that you get Barack Obama? Because it was her turn.
I hate you all. You just spoiled that. But fucking hell, England and Argentina is tied up. I thought you guys were trolling me. That was fucking crazy.
It's not her turn. It's not anybody's turn. You have to earn it. You know, we tried this. Do I have time to tell this story? We tried this for 24 years. The nominee for president, believe it or not, was chosen by a caucus of congressmen in a room. And they actually called it the King Caucus.
Okay, this is how you respond to me. This is how you respond to me. Because Adez is the guy that I said fucked your mom first. This is... Understand, I am sarcastic all the time on the internet. All I'm looking for is for somebody to just appreciate my sarcasm. This makes me so happy. Thank you. So, you know what? Because of you, gifties are being dropped. Because of you understanding my sarcastic ass self, gifties are being dropped. So here we go. Let me pull up the chat here. Okay. Because of you, Adez. All for you. Let's see. All right, here we go. Did it go through? Should have gone through. What happened? There we go. Okay. All right. There we go. Adez with 20 gifted memberships. Let's freaking go. Thank you for being cool. I appreciate it, man. Incoherent name for 20 says, I'll say it again. JD will get the Republican nomination because of height privilege. Talking heads can intellectualize this all they want, but at the end of the day, the common voter is shallow and wants tall leaders. Honestly, you're not wrong at all. You are not wrong at all.
Not by the voters, not by a convention, a room. And in 1924, the room met. A fewer than a third of Congress even bothered to show up, and they nominated a guy named William Crawford. Now, this is what the system will spit out eventually. After 24 years, William Crawford is the guy. He had suffered a stroke, was partially paralyzed, and could barely see. That's the machine. That's what the machine picked. Their heir, the groomed man, because it was his turn. And the American people looked at and they were like, no. And so Andrew Jackson took the case right to the voters. And after 1824, nobody tried the King Caucus again. That was over. That was the most anti-establishment act in the first 50 years of this country. And it was ordinary Americans firing the people they thought the presidency was theirs to hand out. That's what Donald Trump has done. I think that's one of the reasons why he likes Jackson, because there's a lot of reasons to hate Jackson. But he was anti-establishment, and he took the little... If the King Caucus isn't what the Democrats do right now, no, we'll tell you who to run. Not a lot has changed. So I'm not telling you that Marco Rubio is going to be the guy that, Donald Trump, wants or anything else. I'm just telling you that he's being forged. Diplomacy, war, money, memory. He's learning every job in the building the way a certain father taught a certain set of sons, and whether the president is doing this on purpose or whether the house is just on fire and Rubio's the only one that can write out, and count the columns himself, the result is exactly the same.
So again, we hear all that to say, I don't completely disagree with Glenn that Marco Rubio is being kind of ushered in for the next phase, but I don't think that Trump has made a decision and I'm not saying Glenn Beck says this either, but I don't think Trump has made a decision that Marco Rubio is the guy. I think Marco Rubio, just like anything else, Marco Rubio has shown that he's willing to step up and do what needs to be done. Just like any situation that you're in, a person will show you that you can trust them to do X, Y, or Z, and it just ends up being like that. So I think that Marco is fantastic. If I had to choose right now what I think is going to happen in 2028, right now, sitting here, I would say that it's going to be J.D. Vance and it's going to be Marco Rubio, because I think that both of these guys understand the assignment And I think that both of these guys are not stupid. And I think that they both understand that them being unified is the only way to exist in a post-Trump world. You're never going to recreate Donald Trump. It's never going to happen. But if you can take two of his top people that are already highly respected, and if they show a unifying effort from the beginning and they don't show any, cracks in the foundation, I think that is the approach right there. And it sets a sign to the American people and to the Democrats, like, we're ready and we're going to kick your ass and we're going to continue the Trump agenda. That would be mine right there. So we'll see. Hold on. Damn you. You keep telling me in the chat what's happening. Argentina just scored 2 goals in a minute. Holy shit. Wow. That is incredible. We're going to close the stream on we're going to close the stream on a learning opportunity. Okay? Now, guys, you guys know I take my job as a streamer very seriously. I never talk in a sarcastic tone. I never want to upset anyone, and I always want you to take me very, very seriously. Okay? So, please listen to what I'm going to tell you. If you are a streamer, if you want to start streaming, I have a very, very, very crucial piece of advice for anyone that's willing to stream, and I hope you're willing to listen to me, okay? No matter what you do, no matter how big of a streamer you become, no matter how big the super chats, no matter what, please, for the love of God, please don't do what the quartering did right here.
And we're going to.
Wait, what was that? How was it?
Porn?
Oh my God.
No, listen.
We'd love to see you. With that, I've got to jump on a call, and we're going.
Oh no, that was the slapping sound. Bro, he was watching porn during the show. No way, I didn't even catch that. I wondered what that was while I was editing
actual porn.
No, that was
going to. No, we'd love to see you. With that, I've got to jump on a call, and we're going.
Porn. Can someone clip this and put it on Twitter so I can retweet it immediately?
And we're going to.
Bro, you can't make this shit up, dude, all right? You can't make it up. Like, how do you keep doing this? How do you keep doing this? It keeps happening. One more time, dude. Like, he has been caught with his Reddit porn search. He's exposed his coffee company, apparently. He keeps showing shit on stream that he was not supposed to show. And now this.
And we're going to.
Wait, what was that? How was it?
Porn?
Oh my God.
No, listen.
We'd love to see you. With that, I've got to jump on a call, and we're going.
Oh no, that was the slapping sound. Bro, he was watching porn during the show. No way, I didn't even catch that. I wondered what that was while I was editing
actual porn.
No, that was
going to. No, we'd love to see you. With that, I've got to jump on a call, and we're going.
Porn. Can someone clip this and put it on Twitter so I can retweet?
For those that don't understand, essentially what it seems is happening, based on the sound, allegedly, nobody knows for sure, but it sounds like when you are on OBS, which I'm assuming he's streaming with, when you're on OBS, which I'm not, but when you're on OBS, all of your desktop audio plays through your stream, okay? So even if you have a different window open and say you're watching a YouTube video, that's going to play on the stream's audio. So the accusation here, or the assumption here, is that on another screen, the quartering may have some adult content playing. And so it's audio from something that is on another screen. So it sounds like it may be something. Allegedly, no proof of that. I'm sure it was just an educational video, but damn if it's not funny. All right, guys, thank you so much. Oh, hang on. UP Shoot says, new Spencer Pratt video dropped roughly 1 hour ago. Okay, we might cover that a little bit later because I don't think I'm going to be on the gaming stream, but I don't know if I'm going live again or not. But Sean Osman says, soccer is the Dallas Cowboys of sports, very popular, super gay. Let's see. Cucker Tarleson says, what's up, Jeremy? Going to the biggest Culver's in the U.S. for dinner. Butterburger with curds and Culver sauce. Hashtag Culver's supremacy. Beardo mega fat. Lapco says, high-ranking anonymous sources familiar with Jared's thinking says we should send him more super chats. Don't do your own research. Trust the reporting. I agree with that 100%. Graptar Stammer says, Marco is running Venezuela's economy right now, probably in between sessions of Powell World. East Coast Host Boy says, think Big Rubio is ready for the presidency now? Not now, but in 2028, probably. Graptar Hammer says, I love that we have to pick, by the way, two we actually like. Oh, the two. Yes, at least we had two good choices. Chuck says, what's the clapping for? Tell me how your weekend was. Let me know. Philip Johnson says, on Tuesday night's main event, I asked you to tell the new iDots what Jay does to cats. You just said, yeah, he opens a door. How do the new guys know what that means? Next Tuesday. And Tuesday is a very organized show. We have no issues getting all of the topics in over there. So it shouldn't be a problem at all. Really, really organized show. East Coast Host Boy says, playing corn while streaming with the Christian or allegedly woman. This will test Melanie's Christianity if she doesn't say anything to him or keep streaming without saying anything to him about it. I guess we'll just have to see. Hicks, New Jersey says, Jeremy, my wife has been having a rough couple days. Can you say I'm Clipper pause chick, get your shit together. You would give her a good laugh. Thanks. I had to think about that one for a minute. I'm like, what are you wanting me to say? So I have to listen. I would never want to get caught in a situation like other streamers have.
All right. Smelly Negro. I love that name. Which hockey movie chant, I swallow knickers come? No idea.
And there it is. All right. So thank you all so much. Looks like the game is into 9 minutes extra play. Is that Messi that's hurt? No way. Was that Messi that was down? Argentina won. It's over. Yeah, it's got to be close. So anyway, thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. I will be live tomorrow night at 9 p.m. for Trump's Address the Nation speech. That's happening at 9 p.m. I'll be live here. Yes, I changed my plans from watching the Odyssey because we have to cover Trump. So I'll be here, but I'll have already seen it by the time I watch it. But I was going to see it a second time. But I thank you all so much. And then maybe Fortnite Friday night with the new Odyssey update. That looks pretty cool. So anyway, you guys have a good evening, and we will talk to you later. Bye, everyone.